Granddaddy P here. Everything in the WWE Universe points to the clash in Paris for the Women's World Championship, the Raw Championship, being Io Sky versus Sky-Vaquer. Everything points to that. Let me run down the list really quickly. Of course, Naomi is out. But back at Evolution, Sky-Vaquer won the Battle Royale, which gave her a bona fide title shot against whomever is the champion at the Clash of Paris. So Sky-Vaquer gets a title shot. Io Sky, a couple of weeks ago, went to the general manager and was, in fact, given a title shot against Naomi to regain her title. At least a chance to regain her title. That was on the 14th. Let's take a look at the calendar and then we can figure that out. Last week was the 17th, so 11th. Yeah, so on the 3rd, it would have been on the 11th. No, it would have been on the 3rd. On the 3rd of August, she was given a title shot against the champion, Naomi. And that would have taken place on the 11th of August. Around 6 p.m., 2 hours before airtime on the 11th of August, Naomi scratched. Not medically cleared. Following week, she tells us she's pregnant and she relinquishes the title. So Io Sky did not get her match and is not the champion. In fact, now there is no champion. Everything points to Io Sky versus Sky-Vaquer. They've had 2 matches that were both interrupted. Sky had the upper hand on one, Vaquer had the upper hand on the other. The Naomi thing. She had a bona fide promise for a world champion match. So only 2 ladies in the whole division have that. They are Sky-Vaquer and Io Sky. One would think that come the Clash of Paris, in Paris, not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday, the 31st of August, that the Women's World Championship would be up for grabs between those 2. It makes perfect sense. Then tell me why I think it's not going to happen. I don't know why. I was an analyst in a prior life. I still pretty much analyze everything. And everything tells me that's the match. But my gut says, not so fast. I don't know what's happening. What do you think? I'm telling you, I think it's not going to happen. At least not in Paris. At least not in Paris. I don't think they're going to put Io Sky into position to win the title back or to lose it cleanly from Sky-Vaquer this early. She just lost it. And then she just lost it again because Rhea got pinned at SummerSlam. But then they gave her a match which didn't happen. And now Naomi has vacated. So what does that mean? I honestly think they've got something up their sleeve because this is the WWE. Often what makes the most sense is the simplest and is the way you should go is not the way they go. We're all concerned that Io Sky needs to look strong going into Japan in October. She's a marquee talent. She's Japanese. She comes from their Joshi system. She's their ace of stardom, an international legend worldwide in her own right. That's who Io Sky is. Don't forget, her name was Lo Shirai, and that name is a legend. All right. Japan is in the middle of October, 17th and 18th, I believe. I have a feeling, this is my hunch, Io Sky is not going to even get a title shot at Clash of Paris. If she does, it will be a triple threat again or a four-way, but it will not be a one-on-one. I honestly don't think she's even going to get it. I think they're going to come up with something this coming Raw, the go-home show, to give it to somebody else. Here's why I say that. Paris is October 31st. Tokyo is October 17th and 18th. That's a distance. Not a huge difference, but distance, but it's a distance. I think, and let me add one more thing. There's another PLE coming up. Just days before the Tokyo 2-night Super Show. I think, I'm not always right, I wish I were, but I think this is where they're going to book Io Sky to win the championship. I don't know who from, probably Vaquer. It won't be Rhea, because that's down the road. So probably Stephanie Vaquer. I believe they're going to hold her back now, either through the Kabuki Warriors or one or both of the tag teams of Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Somebody is going to interfere, and she's not going to get her shot. That's what I think. And then in Perth, the next PLE, just days before Tokyo, Io Sky will win the championship. And just days later, right into Tokyo, a conquering hero, a WWE World Champion. The pop will be enormous. All they have to do is make sure they write it correctly, that it doesn't look like it's forced and they're just doing it because she's going to Japan. The narrative has to be real. WWE can do that. And I am convinced that is the path they are going to take. I would like to see her win it at Paris and hold it all the way through and beyond Japan. And maybe all the way to WrestleMania. But that's a long, long distance. But that said, that's my take. I don't think, after the Clash in Paris, that Io Sky is going to be the Women's World Champion. Do I think Stephanie Vaquer is? She could be, but that's really a push. That's a super duper brand new talent on the roster push. That's really fast. So it might be somebody else. Who could it be? I don't think it'll be Rhea. It could be Vaquer. Could be Raquel. People are saying Raquel's the next champion. They're looking at that. It could be Roxanne, but I don't think so. So I'm going to stick with Vaquer. And then Vaquer will lose the title to Io at Perth. That's my prediction. Find out what happens. Granddaddy P out.